What's up guys, Matt from the Football Boots team, and today's video is all about fake football boots. And on display today, we've got a fake pair of the CR7 Vitorias by Nike in the Superfly 5s. Now the idea behind today's video is to help you guys distinguish whether you have fake football boots, secondly what are the differences between fake and real Superflies, and thirdly in the end, should you buy fake football boots yourself? So let's get right into it. So as you guys can see on our table, we've got a few different models of the Superfly 5. To this side of me, we've got two real pairs, the Time to Shine and also this CR7 Discovery. But on the other side of the table, we've got two fake pairs. Firstly, the Lightning Storm in the pink colorway, and secondly, the CR7 Quinhentos. Now, first up, you might be able to tell a really big difference in the shape of the real versus the fakes, but these new pair in the Vitorias colorway are so much better quality than what we had in previously, but there are still some small details that we'll go through on the studio, but then second part of the video, we'll be taking them on pitch. Now, the first big giveaway for me that these Superflies are actually fake is when we look at the lace holes. And hopefully you guys can see on camera that the holes are actually quite large and they've just been pierced through, almost like they've been burnt. They almost have a rough finish to them. Those lace holes are far too big. If I bring in a real pair, bring in the Time to Shine, we can see those lace holes. You can't really see any excess room, but on the fake pair, we could almost get two laces through. So if you do have a pair of Superflies yourself and you aren't sure whether they're real or fake, just have a little look at the lace holes to see if there's any differences between the two. One part of the real Superflies which I absolutely love is the upper. Made out of that Flyknit construction, and it is so super soft and flexible. I think it's probably my favourite feature about this Superfly overall. So how does the fake pair actually compare to the real pair? We'll bring these guys in a little bit closer, and as you can see, it is much stiffer to feel. Now, although it looks like it is a knitted construction, it's not the same as Nike's Flyknit. It still is a knitted material, but slightly alternative. So when we actually take these onto the pitch in the second part of the video, then we'll be seeing if there's any differences you can tell on feet. So we've just seen that the fake Superfly 5s has a much stiffer upper compared to the real pair. But another headline feature of the Superfly 5s are the speed ribs. So do these fake Superflies actually feature them? Well, they do have a very rough texture, almost very similar to the speed ribs, but it's not actually the same quality as the real pair. And one massive factor for me is they're not as prominent. Bringing in the real Superflies again, and as you rub your thumb across the top, you can really feel the friction, so the speed ribs are very prominent, but that's not the case with the fake ones. They do have a slightly ribbed texture, but it's much smoother, so in terms of performance and friction on the ball, it's not going to be as aggressive as a real pair. Non-Flyknit stiffer upper, no speed ribs, but what about the responsive flywire cables? Well, unfortunately, if you do buy a fake pair of the Superfly 5s, which we have, you're not going to get those very responsive flywire cables, which of course connect the sole plate to the lacing system, so as you pull those laces tight, you get a very locked in feel. Massive shame that if you do buy some Superfly 5s, although they will be a bit cheaper, you're not going to get the same performance enhancements as you would find on a real pair. So if you are expecting the same level of craftsmanship from a fake company as real Nike, it's not going to be the case. As mentioned previously, we did have some fake Superflies coming into the office previously, the Lightning Storm ones and also the Quinhentos. Now, one factor which really stood out right from unboxing them was the shape and silhouette. It's so high profile, especially compared to the real Superfly 5s. So this was a really standout feature. So have the fake company actually done a better job this time around on the Vitorias? We're looking at these side by side and we can see they've improved it so much. It's not so high profile, but one difference that you can see is that the toe boxes are slightly different. On the real Superfly 5, it's quite low profile, but the toe box on the fake pair are still quite high. So in terms of getting a very snug fit, the real pair are going to be much better compared to the fakes. Moving on, and a really big giveaway is the actual stitching lines. Looking at the Superflies first, and the stitching line across the dynamic fit collar actually curves. We can see that it starts just there at the front and curves around the bottom of the ankle and meets at the back, and again we've got a curve on the other side. Now that's on the Time to Shine, the Discovery Pack. Any real pair of Superfly 5s are going to have that curved stitching around the dynamic fit collar. But on the fake pair, what you'll find is it's just a straight line. It still starts in the same position and goes around to that heel tab, but it's much more of a straight line compared to the real pair, which just has that slight curve to it. The Superfly 5 from Nike is such a high-tech pair of football boots, and a massive part of that is the dynamic fit collar. We've just mentioned about the stitching lines underneath it, but what's the actual difference between the real and the fake collars? Well, let's have a little feel of the fake one first, and to me it feels much stiffer compared to the real pair. bringing it in a little bit closer, and it doesn't have much stretch to it at all. It even feels a little bit thin and crispy, so in terms of having a very sock-like fit, it's not going to be the same as the real Superfly 5s. Although it might just be a little bit thicker, it's much softer and stretchy, so it's going to be more comfortable and enhance that sock-like fit this Superfly 5 is all about. Pacey performances, they are the two words for the Superfly 5. That is what it's all about for players who want the Superfly. You are probably a winger, an attacker, or an attack-minded player who wants that high-level traction, lockdown, and responsiveness. And a massive part of that is the sole plates. Now on the Superfly 5, it's got one of the most unique and technology-rich sole plates I've ever come across. Layered nylon chassis, and it's also contoured. So has the Fake company been actually able to mimic this on their Fake pair? Well, the simple answer is no, they haven't whatsoever. And when we take them on pitch, you guys are going to see a massive difference between the Fake pair and the real pair. So if you are interested in performance, then do not go for a Fake pair. Definitely go for the real ones. Although they do look very high quality, when you really break it down, they just can't compete. Okay, so I just dug out the Superfly 5s are having a pretty poor sole plate in terms of performances. But this part of the boot actually impressed me a lot too. Not in terms of performance, but in terms of the way it looks. It's got that chrome coating, and we all know when fresh out the box, these look amazing. But these actually held up pretty well. Usually chrome coating sole plates usually flake all across the sole plate, but this time after wearing them for like 2 hours, it only flaked off around the studs, which was actually quite impressive. If I just swivel around, pick up the pure agility, and you guys can hopefully see that the flaking actually happened on the sole plate itself and not just the studs. So the Fake sole plate does actually look really good and doesn't flake as much maybe as a real pair, but one thing you have to bear in mind is the quality is still not going to be the same. So this was the left foot, and it's got that black base coat, but bringing in the right pair, and this is where we can see the difference, and it epitomises how Fake companies are quite poor. The base colour on this one is actually an off yellow colour. So although it still has flaked, it's got a completely different colour to its other foot, which of course looks a bit strange. Now I can almost guarantee there's so many of you guys out there who want a pair of Nike CR7 Superfly 5s in the Vitorias colourway for the main man Ronaldo himself. But the fact of the matter is, firstly, they'll be really expensive on the likes of eBay, and also there's probably only fakes around. So how can you really tell the difference between a fake and a real? Well, looking at the CR7 branding and on this Fake pair, it's solid black. If you did have a real pair, or you see a real pair that you want to buy, this black would actually be iridescent. So definitely look out for that point. So guys, that was the first part of the video in the studio looking at the finer differences between a Fake and real Superfly 5. So let's head outside now. Yes guys, welcome to the on-pitch section of this video. You've just been with us in the studio to check out the smaller details between the Fake and real Superfly 5s. So what we'll be doing on pitch now is checking out the fit, feel and performance of the Fake Vitorias. So let's slide these guys on for the first time, and the really good thing is I've actually tested a Superfly 5 a couple of times previously, so it's going to make for a really precise comparison between these Fake ones and the real pair I've actually tested previously. Now the Superfly 5, the real ones, are known to be quite narrow fitting and also very snug because of that fly-knit construction. And to be fair, I've slid these Fake ones on and they do fit very similarly. They're still quite narrow, and also although they're not genuine fly-knit, they do fit very compressive and snug. So I've literally only taken a couple of steps from the dugout where I put the Fake boots on, and I can already tell a massive difference between the Fake ones and a real pair of Superfly 5s. If I just take the camera down a little bit closer to the boot and checking out that flex point around the forefoot region, and it feels very stiff, a little bit sharp, so very uncomfortable. Something which the real Superflies aren't whatsoever, just because Nike's Flyknit is so much softer compared to this Fake manufacturer's version. Guys, let's get serious. If CR7 himself wore a Fake pair of Superfly 5s, he would still be a superstar. A pair of football boots doesn't change your ability. Scaled down, Fake, heavy, lightweight football boots won't make a difference. If you're a good footballer, you're going to be a good footballer no matter what you wear. But one part of the boot which really does make a difference is the sole plate. And on these Fake Superflies, it feels so flimsy, it doesn't feel like you get much push off, there's no support for you. So that is definitely one part of a Fake football boot which can't compete with a real pair. For almost any player that has ever worn the Superfly from Nike has probably experienced some discomfort around the back of the foot at some point. Now that's due to the dynamic fit collar. It does just create a little bit of a bobble on the Achilles, which can cause discomfort or even blisters. Now I test the Superfly now and again, I don't wear them that often, and I'm someone who does get a little bit of a blister or discomfort around the back of the foot. Now for some reason on this Fake pair, I've been wearing them for about an hour now, and I haven't felt any discomfort whatsoever on the dynamic fit collar or any part of the boot, which is actually quite strange because I thought the collar would actually feel a little bit stiffer.
I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I have to say I'm actually quite impressed with how these fake Superflies actually fit and feel. Now, if nobody told me that they were fake, apart from looking a little bit cheap, I probably couldn't tell the difference. Now, they do fit and feel actually quite comfortable, just like the real Superfly 5s are, but once you start moving around, that's when you can really tell that these are fake, because that sole plate is so flimsy. So guys, just before finishing the video, I think a question which you might have for me is, would I ever recommend buying a fake pair of football boots? Now, I would never recommend buying a fake pair. I think they are just a little bit too cheap. So I think in terms of injury, they could increase that chance a little bit. And also the durability is going to be quite poor. So what I would recommend is buying a real pair of Superfly 5s, but an older colorway, so they're going to be much cheaper on sale. So that's what I'd personally do. But in the poll card now, vote for your own personal choice. A fake pair of Superflies or a real pair of Superflies at a cheaper price. So vote in the poll card and also leave your comments and thoughts in the section below. But guys, that is today's video all wrapped up for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Cheers.